Drum is just the right size. 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 Just the right size. Just the right shape. Just the right size. Just the right size. Sure. Go. Sure.
Tava tá passando na rua de coca, tava pra madeirar alfanhaca, quando moia, casa de minha pronta de madrugada. Oba! Tava na boca.
Shoot, baby, cry. Just the right time, just the right fight, just the right light, just the right size, just the right time, just the right light, just the right fight, just the right size. Yeah.
Woohoo! Yeah. Welcome. Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Where does stuff like that come from, you know? It's interesting. We wanted to talk about music, and at that point we had absolutely nothing to say, but a lot to say. No?
Yes.
Yes.
Many things to say.
Yes.
Many
Yes.
things to say.
Yes. Where do you think this comes from?
Oh.
From the guitar? From you?
For me, when I do music, I usually do music for stage performances, and I tend to plan it out somewhat meticulously to make up for what I perceive to be possible shortcomings in technicality. So I think maybe, first of all, at least from my side, when you have a certain amount of pent-up, spontaneous creative energy that ends up not being used in the context that you would ideally have it used in. Although I don't know if, this isn't my main instrument, so it's probably not the best way to bring that out. But actually, that's probably is the best way to bring it up, because if you don't know anything about an instrument, then you end up being less self-conscious about using it spontaneously. And then I have someone like Tony and someone like you in front of me who are excellent spontaneous, well, from what I've seen in video, and Tony from what I've seen over the years. I think that kind of creates a good flow. I wouldn't say a balance, but a good flow. So maybe that's where it comes from.
Look at the woman and the white man in this conversation, making this an English conversation. Are you going to translate? Because apart from playing small instruments, you also translate very well. No.
Yeah, I small language.
Oh, yeah. Right. Because I think the music is the first language.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The universe of music, the universe of the silence. Is silence provoke the music. Yeah? And we have something like at the end, they call afro. Yeah?
Yeah.
And when we arrived here, we talked with this beat.
Yeah.
It's an ancestral beat. Yeah? You understand? It's not necessary to make a rehearsal.
That's what I've been telling all my production managers. It's not necessary to do rehearsals.
Kids at home.
Listen, but it's important that you say that. And earlier in Celo's workshop today, he was talking about simple things that the body knows already, that we don't have. When we are performing, we don't always need to overcomplicate it, because walking, eating, lying down, finding a comfortable place a way to be just normal. These are things that you don't need to think about too much, and I think this is the same. For example, if there is this coming together of minds, or at least of intentions, then it's quite easy to understand each other with the first language, because the body knows, the mind knows, and so you try to explore that, you grow it, you become more of it. Sometimes it's not easy because you are also many other things, right? But it's not. You don't have to complicate it. It's there. You just lie down, or you just music. And twice you do it, and then you have it. Yeah. 6 months of rehearsals is just for you to, spend some time doing something productive.
Yeah. Well, I think you can also you can rehearse something for 6 months, and then when you get up on the stage or wherever it is you're going to do what you're going to do something that's completely different from what you rehearsed, and it will still be just as powerful, because you have this, you've gotten used to a certain, you've gotten used to the rhythms that are in your body. You've gotten used to the way that your body reacts to the environment, and that's what music is. It's your body reacting with air, it's reacting with pieces of wood and nylon, and once you've become comfortable with that, you can do something like this.
It is. I mean, I guess that is the rehearsal of it, right? Rehearsal is a continuous practice or continuous engaging of this. So that's why spending some practical hours with yourself and this instrument is important, just to know that you can do something completely different in a split second or on stage and change it. So, change. Music is about change.
Fogo. A mim queria beber grogo na calmão, bam baby, take um tema quente. Pensei que o estribilinho tem que põe brajeiro fronta. Menina, a mim são barulho da chove que tá na cepaja. E te na conto, a minha tom dente branco da travo em casa. A mim tem 2, 3 coisas para falar, menina. Primeiro se che le di bo di altri serno tarraparti na metali. I'm a body body. All is that. Viu, mano? Dale, Tina. What's up?
Sase akati agwadike kahuda na dikara tikaru gwadike hai na bahadirami kwenge kauda mashera gwadike. Hey, how? These are the fresh new sounds of Afro futures. These are the fresh new sounds of Afro futures. Fresh sounds of Afro futures, fresh sounds of Afro futures, fresh sound of Afro futures, fresh sound of Afro futures. How do I say that? Napasoko kuadike, namasera kuadike, namase.
Yeah. Or no. Or maybe. Yes. I always want to know, where does it come from? And it's such a beautiful thing, this exploring this. I think it's such a strange, like infinite space to explore when you know the music is like a endless well. It's so good. It's so beautiful to tap there for your everything. You don't got money, sing. You know? You don't got friends, sing. Music or, I don't know, music or sing. Sing? You sing, Jeff?
Sometimes.
Yeah? What do you sing?
Usually Happy Birthday, but... Again, like I was saying, I'm not a big live performer for maybe, I don't know, reasons of bashfulness and timidness, so I usually record things. And I used, when I was younger and my voice was still angelical, I sang quite a bit, but at this point I don't sing too much.
How do you find as a let's call a spade, as a white guy who traveled to Cabo Verde, I guess you were brought there through your love for art, right? Or did you like plants or something?
Cabo Verde is not the best place to go if you like plants. It's pretty dry. I think part of it was because of music. The first connection that I had with Cabo Verde, as with most non-Cabo Verdeans, was through music. But that kind of stayed on the back burner in my mind. And since I had lived in Brazil for a long time, there was somewhat more of a connection with the Portuguese-speaking or pseudo-Portuguese-speaking world. And then I ended up by chance meeting Cabo Verdeans in the States, and certain things happened, and I ended up going. So that's how I got there. But of course, yeah, the first connection was through music, and of course I knew about the music before I got there.
Yeah, surely you got to learn a little bit about the musical language of some place or some cultures if you want to go there. So did the Cabo Verdeans approve immediately of you?
Immediately? I don't think they have yet. I don't know.
Yes.
It depends on who they are.
It must not be easy. It's really nice to be able to come as somebody who has absolutely minimal ideas and to find that the space allows for so much openness and thought.
Yeah. Vai ser. Oh, Jeff, seis furões. Não tem um pouquinho de furão. Aí, ó.
Maybe while you're at Africa Moment, you could learn how to play a small guitar. This is part of the program. Explore what you had, what you thought was small, and really take that, expand it. See? Expand.
Falou que mana dia 15 Covid também acabar
WhatsApp.
Mídia fazem a col Tá levai, tá trato minha máscara Coragem garrafa Olha coragem copo Boca de Luís Cabelo Tita pita e só aguardente
Na casa Maria Leiteira, bagnha máscara, amanhã violão, cacói que se grog. Ele pensa na rasta aquele coisa, coragem copo, ai coragem garrafa, boca de Luís Cabelo, taptita e só se aguardente.
É boa pessoa que tá chateada para nada desse mundo. Entra aquele seringa, ele enchil tá te transbordar. Luís Cabelo diz e se calça, brilheteira chuquil na polpa. E injeta aquele vacina, Luís Cabelo dá grito. Coragem, polpa. Oi, a coragem, pulmão. Boca de Luís Cabelo, tita tossia, só aguardente.
Yeah, this is so good. The three guys in the Hebridean Islands, three special guys, and all night they play, drink home. They call grog. And this called this serenata. They go to different country houses to play guitar.
And cavaquinho.
Yeah. Emma Morna. This
is Cabo Verdean.
Yeah. Morna. Today Morna it's heritage.
It's a UNESCO intangible world.
It's called heritage, yeah. Because it's
That's a very important conversation. Yes, sure.
it's a memory.
Sure.
The music-
What is this kind of music called? Can you say it again?
Morna.
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 It's so delicious. It's so beautiful. Like, I don't know, is it more Is it morning music? Did I just kind of skip to morna because...
That's what a lot of people have said, although the word sounds like it could come from the word for lukewarm. But it's usually somewhat melancholic, but this one is comedic.
Yes, I sensed that there was an inside Cabo Verdean joke there.
No, well, we were making up different words for a famous song about how when people are, that by the 15th of the month, the rum is going to run out, so you have to stock up before everything goes dry.
Yeah, we talk now about memory,
Yeah.
music and memory.
Yes,
Yeah?
see.
Oh.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, you're talking about intangible heritage, or the things that UNESCO, the work that UNESCO has been doing towards this. I mean, that's also why the conversation in music is so important. Because even though there's a lot of music that people don't remember and don't share, even just the conversation about the culture of music, and even just to share these ideas is so important, because there's so many, of that history, because we are really focused on the physical history, but really the intangible stuff, the things that we cannot touch, this seems to need also so much preservation, or is not getting as much attention in preservation as possible. So it's so important to have these platforms and spaces. I mean, where in Cabo Verde can you get this? Is it just stuff that's recorded now? And
it's very much practiced, but that being said, I think it was something we were actually talking about the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You have mornas that are songs, and you have morna as I wouldn't call it a ritual, but yeah, somewhat of a ritual, or of a musical event, an artistic event that has certain aspects to it. And when you only take the composition itself and say, okay, this is a morna, this is a song, and you can take it and you could sing it, you can just press a button and have a keyboard or a drum machine do everything. You could have an electric guitar and a bass and a drum set, and that's all valid. But I think that if you don't know where the specificities of it came from, like a rhythm like that could easily be turned into some kind of like American rock ballad.
Yeah.
And
Pitbull, go ahead.
Well, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why you have, why there was one of the many reasons, not all of them good, but a lot of them good, why there was a conscious decision on the part of several different Cabo Verdean governments to apply for intangible World Heritage status for Morna. Because there is consciousness throughout the country that it is a part of Cabo Verdean heritage, but there is not necessarily an awareness of what goes into Morna, of what the social context in which it developed over the course of the centuries is, which is not even something that can be specified with precision, because you have written documentation to a certain point, but you didn't have recorded documentation up till very recently. So it's hard to say what really. It's impossible to say exactly where it came from, what the cultural inputs were that turned into Morna, much less what the social and the sociological specificities that led to it were. You can consider the relatively slow pace of life on dry desert islands when people were waiting for years and years for news from their loved ones abroad, or waiting for months and months for food, and just sitting looking at the ocean, and that has to do with a lot of the themes. But that being said, it's impossible to say with precision. So the process through which it became...
Well, maybe not impossible. I mean, I'm sure there's like some ethnomusicological, anthropological music history things that can trace stories and sounds specifically
definitely, and
to
that has been done. You had Vasco,
geography.
Vasco Martins,
yes,
French
yes,
Vasco
Vasco
Martins.
Martins.
yes, yes.
And you had the Brazilian ethnomusicologist José Ramos Tinhorão that talked about that. And you have a lot of amateur ethnomusicologists in Cabo Verde who discuss that. But I think what's most important is more important than that is to understand it as an expressive form.
Yeah.
But in any case, that's more of a...
Super important. Yeah, yeah. And what is what instruments are specific to Cabo Verde? Musical instrument?
Yeah, we use
There's a
different percussive.
yeah.
Percussive instruments.
Percussive
Yeah.
instruments. We have sopro.
Wind instruments.
Wind instruments. Pianos.
Is the piano specific to Cabo Verde?
No.
So
Nothing is, but the thing in Cabo Verde is it was deserted before the slave trade began. So everything in Cabo Verde was adapted from something else. So you have guitars like this one, although not many blue ones, but you have guitars like this. You have the four-stringed cavaquinho, which is an instrument that later became the ukulele when Cabo Verdean and Portuguese emigres went whale hunting to Hawaii. You also have the piano, like you said, you have the violin in various different forms, but you also have the diatonic accordion, you have the metal bar, which is on the percussive instruments, you have your legs.
Yeah, the capacity of create the instrument. The first instrument that you can create is a body. You make something like this, and you make chabete.
what's this guy who
you
does?
Make like this, you make like this, and e la dancer. Come Betty. Oh. Ya fanha dunda, cozé que batuco. Ya china menino, cozé que batuco. Batuco nha filho, uma salão da mora da deixalo. Telefone da mama, diga lá bat. Leva. La pica. Ai, cimenteira. Ai, menina. Dai, cutrão. Chabete. Oh, Betty.
Opa!
Yeah.
And that is the moment.
That was the first instrument.
The first instrument,
The body is the first instrument, which brings us to the beginning of the conversation. Now we start talking. We've been talking, but the body as a political instrument, the body as a spiritual instrument. You mentioned it just on the head nail. It's an instrument, see?
The bridge
Yes.
for the other side. I think the music is something like a bridge or escada, what does it say?
Stairway.
Yeah? You need to grow up the stair. You need to move your body. Or put your body something. And when you arrive at the top of this, you see your life here, or something. The same thing we usually use for ultrapassar. Overcoming the obstacles.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the countries, and has segregation stuff like the what is this? The stairway grow up more difficult, more, and they put like a wave. Yeah.
Yes.
And they has the body with the what to say? It's the body is like a turbine.
Like a tornado.
It's the reason because we talk about music because the music it's a unique language. You understand all the situation, the woman being, eh?
The human being, yes.
Because when we listen my voices, when I say ah, la, 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 le, le, you understand if I'm good or not good.
Exactly.
If I have something to tell you or not. It's the Sanskrit, the language Sanskrit.
Yes.
Called this Q. It's a Q, a sound. The Aborigine people say it has a way in the different materials in the world. It is the sound wave. Yeah? You need to discover this sound.
Yeah, I think it's also about understanding it to move through us. I mean, they do say it's the universal language, or it's music is kind of you listen to it, and that's why we can listen to anything in Portuguese or French or Damara, and you will feel the music. It's really about that. But it also is important to let it move, sometimes through you, like with the dance. And the music needs to live on all the multi-layers. But we embrace it naturally, of course, from a very young age. And this is why it's such an important instrument for spiritual and political reasons, and it is also such a strong political and spiritual instrument, and we find ourselves sometimes misusing its power. We can easily do that, or not really see its power. And I don't mean like looking. I mean like to see and understand the value for this. Us, of course, and also on a very, like state level, and it's important to be there where we reintroduce that and take ownership of this as well, our own spiritual experience of music.
Because I think, like with any language, you can, like you said, you can abuse it, you can take it for granted, you can misuse it, you can use it only as you can use it emptily, and in Cabo Verde, I think there's a very parallel relationship between music as a language and the Cabo Verdean language as a language, because you had people coming in tragic conditions to a place that was empty and created a new language, both in terms of music and in terms of what we traditionally consider to be a language. And like you said, music is a political statement, and in Cabo Verde, both music and the language are at their core, at their origin, political statements. You have Batuco, which exists because drums, hand-played drums, were prohibited in Cabo Verde at the beginning of the settlement period, because the authorities thought that, on the one hand, that they were pagan. Drums are to be played with drumsticks, which they still are in Cabo Verde, but that's a different story. And also that slaves would be able to communicate with each other, and so drums were prohibited. And that's how batuco came about, because the people began using their bodies as percussion instruments, and also the cloths that that they would wear around on their shoulders, around their waists. So batuco is, in and of itself, as the first musical form of Cabo Verde, also a political statement and a social solution. And the Cabo Verdean language is the same thing. There was no one in Cabo Verde when the first people arrived, and there were groups of, as happened everywhere in the New World, there were groups of slaves who spoke different or differing languages who were brought together, and the Cabo Verdean language was not only a way to communicate basic needs, but it was also a way to communicate on various different levels, which could be grammatically understood by everyone, including those in administration or those in power, but which had different meanings depending on what part of society you were in. And it was a way to speak secretively in front of other people, even other people who spoke the language. So both the Cabo Verdean language and Cabo Verdean music, at their origins, are political statements. And over the course of the years, it's been 550 years, of course, though the context changed, things are maybe not transmitted the way they ideally would be, and of course people end up, like you said, mistreating or at least taking this language and this music for granted. And the results, I think there's a worldwide trend of people taking language for granted or misusing language at this point. And it's spread much more quickly because of the quickness of communications. But I think that what you said is reflected perfectly, and from the very beginning to the current days of Cabo Verdean existence.
And I mean, speaking of reflection, whether we think it's mistreated or misused or misconstrued or not, music is like many forms of art, contemporary art, or just art, is a reflection of the time. Yeah. It's a reflection of the people. It's a reflection of our circumstances. And if the music today is like then that is the reflection of our time. Right. Maybe things are like that. Earlier they were talking about we are surrounded by violence. When we are surrounded by flowers, we will sing about flowers. Yeah. But we are surrounded by violence, and if you hear violence in the music, and the music sounds violent, then we are there, right? And perhaps that's the kind of like the process, and that the music takes its form. But then there's always that center of us remembering the purpose, and because we are not only here to make use of the music as a form of something that we share, but also something that we have to continuously experience ourselves. So as long as we are remaining in that part where we kind of want to have a personal experience with music, it still has the space to live and also to grow. So the reflective part of it is very, very important. And I mean, you've had artists like the Bob Marleys and so many African artists that have come to use the music, and we know it as a tool for social change. It is the bomb. It is the explosion that we need, that really changes and sets the way for so many things. And then when things are good, we just sit there and we sing. We we reflect like this. Yeah, and
it's like a Morse communication Morse.
Exactly. Yes.
Now we can communication with different countries. The aspect of Afro descendants come with this sound, with like this, tick 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 tick. The boy comes, they say, don't think those two stuff on flop, bro. Can you most of them make us always go back to a wall to that? What is that? The chassa. How do them I do them school? None of them can come in, settle with that's me, but love me and I say, go on. This way, Zoid, oit.
Zoid, oit.
Zoid, oit.
Guess.
Zoid, oit, wie viel das gut? 1888.
Did you just say my favorite number in the world, my birthday, I have it, no, you, spiritual body. Yeah. Did you just say that?
Yes, that's it.
I think this is how you close it, because here I'm feeling things in the vibration. Hey,
right.
Music is such a powerful thing. I'm telling you. I hope the audience is feeling what just happened here, because, we better remember this for the Afro future, because we just pew into the future just a little bit, and then we go tick 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 8. Ocho. What is 8 in Kuikam Monahaga Koron Nani Hum Kaisa Kwese Kaisa strong Kaisa 8. Hey.
Ta-ta. Yeah, so.
Wonderful.